KO4EFS conducting signal test on the 685.
You're sounding good. This is KI4GED.
Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that. KO4EFS, and that starts in about 5 minutes. Southwest Florida Traffic Net. Southwest Florida Tech Net. I knew I was going to do that eventually. That's the first time.
Okay, Ian. This is KI4GED. I'll be standing by.
And KO4EFS to the Southwest Florida TechNet. Before we get started, you can go onto the website and sign in. I already see about 10 sign-ins there already. Just go to swfltech.net, swfltech.net, and right there on the second tab, you can click that and go right in there and sign in. You'll see it says sign in, and just type your name in there. It's real simple. And that way we'll have a list of who's in tonight. I appreciate it. And we'll be back in about 4 minutes. Is anyone using this frequency? Does anyone need to use this frequency before we start the net? This is KO4EFS in the Southwest Florida Tech Net. We'll be starting the net in 90 seconds. CQ, calling the Southwest Florida TechNet. CQ, calling the Southwest Florida TechNet on the 146685 repeater. This is Kilo Oscar 4 Echo Foxtrot Sierra, KO4 EFS. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Southwest Florida TechNet. This is Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, 11/27/2020, or as I call it, the year of hell. My name is Ian, and I will be the net control station for today on the Southwest Florida TechNet. The Southwest Florida TechNet is a local affiliate of the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club. More information about the net and the club can be found at www.southwestfloриdatechnet, that's the initials, SWFL, tech.net, that's www.swfltech.net. On that website, you can, right there on the second tab, you can click Live tab and click there and go and sign in. And then after that, you can participate there also. This net meets weekly at 8 p.m. on the 146685 repeater for the purpose of discussing technology and systems involved in amateur radio and to assist amateur operators to build and maintain radio systems and stations. Break. In the event of a repeater failure, please switch to the 147.165 repeater. That's channel 1 on your Aries standard frequency list. This is a directed net, so please follow the instructions of net control. However, we do encourage participants to go direct. If there's an emergency or any priority traffic at this time, come now. Traffic will break this net at any time. If you have an emergency, please do a double break and say emergency, and we will relinquish the repeater to you, and then I'll provide any assistance we can to help you through it. The net has a companion website for the passing of photos, links, and text. You can also share files there as well. The website has lots of helpful information, and it also has a way for you to sign in without having to get on the radio to sign in. You can go to www.southwest, I hate doing that because it's confusing. www.swfltech.net. That's www.swfltech.net. And join the shared screen under the Live tab. No sign-in is ever required on any of our stuff here at the TechNet or on the club websites. I'll now take check-ins for anyone who is mobile or is unable to check in on the sign-in page. Before I do that, I want to go ahead and recognize the sign-ins that we have so far, and I want to thank everybody that has signed in so far. I'm going to put a line here so you guys can start signing in after that, so I know where I'm at. Okay, I'd like to, Net Control would like to recognize KN4REE Mike in Cape Coral, and of course your net controller, KO4 EFS, Ian in North Fort Myers, WF4LS Larry in Lehigh, WB4 WMJ Jim in North Fort Myers, W3 SKP Steve in Fort Myers, KN4 RML Bill in Lehigh. Break. Continuing, KC4DE Rick in Cape Coral, KO4 ACY Chuck in Punta Gorda Isles, KN4 UKY Warren in Cape Coral, KO4 JBR Tom and LaBelle, W9 GPI Steve in South Fort Myers, he's our emergency director here, K4 HKA Ham in South Fort Myers, KI4 GED Charles, my buddy in East Fort Myers, WA4 WDV Alex in Sanibel, Bill, N1MNQ, yes, M1MMQ, Lehigh Acres, that's Bill, and KY4AV, Vivian in Port Charlotte, thank you for coming tonight, Vivian, and KO4 ETQ, Rick in Northport, thank you for coming, and N4GQT, Henry in Fort Myers. All right, that's our list so far. I'd like to go ahead for anyone who's unable to check in. I'm going to select down here a little further on the page, and I'll go ahead and put those in. Whoops, sorry. It's very difficult because we're all using a shared screen here. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and... the repeater got me. Let's go ahead and take mobile check-ins at this time. Anyone who's unable to check in online, check in now, please. Just give us your call sign, first name in town, and if there's any topic you would like to see brought up tonight, come now.
Kilo Delta 7 Alpha Charlie Bravo, Dan Sebring.
Kilo Mike 4 Yankee Hotel Zulu, Brian in Cape Coral.
Okay, very good. Net Control recognizes KD7 ACB Dan in Sebring and KM4 EHZ Brian in Cape Coral. And I've got you added to the list. Anyone else that comes in later, we'll get you on next round. Coming around, we'll check. I do right now have quite a number of check-ins on the screen. I'm going to flip that back over so the people watching on YouTube, you can see the people that are signing in there on the screen. It's pretty cool. Okay. Let's get right down to business here. I like that. Break. You can check out the information for tonight's web right on the website, and you can do that by going to the website, www.swfltech.net. And once you're there, if you click the live tab, you'll see everything that's associated with tonight's net. If I call it a show, forgive me. I work in radio. It's so hard. When you click the live tab, you'll see it all come right up right there for you. I've got buttons on every page to get you where you're going. You can listen and watch live. Those buttons are everywhere, and that's on YouTube. We've got 11 viewers on YouTube right now. I'd like to thank you guys for coming in. And if you are out of our area, you can come in here each week and listen on YouTube. Eventually, we should have a way for you to participate as well. And then anyway, right there under Research, under the Live tab, you'll see where it says HT antenna information and 23 centimeter and 33 centimeter information. Those are the two topics we're doing tonight. If you click on those buttons, I have prepared all the information for you. Break. Okay, the first one, the first topic tonight is portable radio antennas. We discussed this very briefly last week, and there was a lot of interest in it, more interest than anything else we discussed last week. So I decided to go ahead and go back and take this again and see if maybe we can dive into it further. So I got out my portable radio antennas, and for those of you at home, you can see here I've got a lot of them, and there's a bunch more up on my radios up there. And I decided to test a bunch of them and see how good they are. I mean, how good are these antennas? We've been told they're garbage. We've been told they're pretty good. So how good are they? So I decided to test them. And you can see there that I did a standard test where I tested them both with my SWR and my impedance meter. And then I also tested the same antenna with two receivers in the distance. And I did it at 2 miles and at 3 miles. So we actually have 4 different readings. We have the 4 readings, the 4 power readings from the radios. And then we have the SWR readings. And the way I did the SWR readings, I tested the best SWR reading in the 2-meter band. The best one. Wherever I could find that, I swept it and found the best one. Then I gave you the SWR at 144, 146, and 148 to kind of give you an idea of where it's at. And then I threw in a 70-centimeter SWR too, so you can kind of see how it does on the dual band. I did all that so we can kind of take a look tonight at how good some of these antennas are. And you know, there was some surprises that came out of my test tonight. And so I'm going to go ahead and open it up real quick and see if anybody has any input they'd like to give so far, or anybody that's already looked through this that would like to give any input. And then I'm going to slowly, I'm going to kind of rapidly go through the results here of the test in just a few minutes. Is there anyone with comments, suggestions, questions about the test before we start going? Reminds me of work. I got cut off by the commercial. Anyway, all right, Is there anyone out there that would like to come now and discuss anything about this before we go into the actual results of the HT antenna test? Come now. Okay, let's just run down through it real quick. I used the same portable radio for each test. I used the same SWR meter for each test. I've got an MFJ, the standard SWR meter that you would see everywhere. You'll see it in the pictures there. Everything's standard radio, standard everything, and everything was tested with the same piece of equipment. This is non-scientific, but it's as close as I can get with the equipment that I have. My antenna number one was, real quick, I'm just going to run through these real quick. The antenna number one was the one that came standard from TYT on my UV8000E, and it did surprisingly well. This ends up being one of my better antennas. This was a stock antenna that came as the low gain of the two antennas that came with that portable, and it actually outperformed its bigger brother that came as the high gain solution with that same portable. So for some reason, I'm getting better performance out of a shorter antenna, and they both came with the same radio. Very, very interesting. Again, though, the SWR, not very good. We're in the 2, 3, and 4 range with the SWR. None of the SWRs are really that good. The break, they're both saying 8 watt. That one, this one came with my Baofeng 8 watt antenna, which is a UV9R. They're a little more rare, but they're still very inexpensive. Great little radio. As a matter of fact, if you scroll up, that's the one I used for the test right there, the 9R. This is the stock antenna that came with this, and it performed very well. Look at the numbers on that. The return was very good. The SWR, all in the 2 range. Not too bad for a portable radio. When you get down to the bottom of the band, 144, it's a little high. It was tuned more a little towards the top of the band. The Baofeng standard antenna, this is what comes on the UV5R, it comes on the UV82, this is the standard Chinese antenna that comes on the Baofeng. And it didn't do that bad at all. I was actually kind of surprised, but I will tell you, each one tests out a little different. So you have to test the one you have and see how it does, because they all come back a little different. Going on down, antenna number 4, that Comet SMA, I told you guys a little bit about this one last week. It did test out pretty good. It actually did slightly better, the same or slightly better than the stock antennas, but it does have a great SWR at lower frequencies in the 3 meter. But when you get up into the higher frequencies in the 3 meter, it was pretty poor. So look at that, at 148 megahertz, it was a 9.7 SWR. Now, granted, all these SWRs are taken with no one holding the device or anything, and I understand when I touched the antenna analyzer, it gave each of these a few 0.2 or 0.3 on the SWR, but we're testing them all the same way with no one touching the device. The Nagoyas, break. Tested 2 Nagoyas. I think one's a fake because it didn't pass any of the tests. The SWR was so bad I could hardly get a reading on it, and then when I took it out in the field, it couldn't reach back to my base here. So the one I didn't even put in the test. The other one, the NA771 here, was marginal at best. You're better off with the stock antenna. So I've heard good things about Nagoya, so I don't want to disparage Nagoya. It could be that they're both crap, I don't know. But it did not do well at all, and the other Nagoya didn't do it all at all. The number 6 was the TYT high gain. This came with the TYT low gain I talked about earlier. Notice it didn't do as well. And so that was kind of a strange thing for me. It did do real well with one radio, but not the other. And the SWR on it, again, not good at all as you get down into the low, into some of the other frequencies, really bad. The Abri, the tactical antenna, I thought would do a little better than it did, actually. It didn't do great. It has a nice clear signal, and there's not as much picket fencing and stuff when you move around because it's got a nice big antenna. But, man, that's a cumbersome thing to carry around, and you're really doesn't seem to be getting all that much on the transmit. Now, my next test I'm going to be doing is going to involve the receive side and the dB of gain that we get. So we'll have to do that test later when I can find somebody to help me with it. All right, well, that's the conclusion of my test. And what I basically found was if you're buying this cheaper equipment, it does seem to behoove you to check your antenna, and if it's not performing well, to get a different one. But just buying a Nagoya for $10 off Amazon may not be your best bet. Sometimes it seems like just the stock ones are sometimes pretty good too. I have to check them out. Okay, so there's my. Anyone that would like to discuss the results of my test or HT antennas, come now.
W9 GPI.
W9 GPI, go ahead, sir.
Well, first, Ian, I'd say that you've done a great job of comparing and measuring and testing things, and I applaud the work that you've done. I find myself, excuse me, and I've had this thought in the past, so I'm going to share it now. I actually wonder sometimes if the manufacturers match the antenna design to the radio output stage at the time they design the thing. And that's why sometimes the antenna that you get with the radio, which looks like it's too small, too short, whatever, your first reaction is this thing is not going to work, turns out to work really well. And I think that may be what's going on. And sometimes that's why a different antenna, a bigger antenna, or a dual band antenna doesn't work as well because it wasn't part of the design process when the thing was created. Don't know for sure, but that's sort of my 2 cents worth on this subject. W9 GPI.
Well, that could be. And if they're specifically tuned for that radio because they're built to specifically take the output of that radio and make the best use of it, you could be absolutely right on that. And then if that's the case, testing them on a test like this where I'm sticking all these different antennas on a bow thing that was specifically tuned for a certain kind of antenna, well, that could be. The antenna that came on the radio I used for the test was one of the best performing antennas. That would tend to lean towards your hypothesis there. All right, next person with comments about portable radio antennas, questions, comments, concerns, come now.
87 ACB, Dan in Sebring.
KD7 ACB, go ahead, sir.
Okay, first time checking in here to the Southwest Florida TechNet. So good evening to everyone. My parents live down in Fort Myers, and I used to until moved up here to Sebring about a year ago. So I still keep up with everything going on down there and the different nets. So glad to hear this one getting it off the ground, and interested in hearing what everybody has to say. On the topic of portable and handheld antennas, the antenna that I use on many different portable radios is a Diamond, and I believe it's SCH77CA. I may be butchering a couple letters there. SRH77CA. Anyhow, it works really well on 440, and I've used it on a lot of different radios for years. Liked it so well, when my first one broke, I bought a second one, and I've never put it through any SWR tests or anything like that. But it's pretty much performed pretty well in anything I've ever thrown at it. And so that's what I use for my everyday carry HT antenna, is that Diamond. That's what we got to say on that note. We'll listen to see what everybody else has got. KD7 ACB, Dan in Sebring.
All right, very good. This is KO4 EFS, and this is the Southwest Florida TechNet, and we're taking input right now on portable radio antennas. We're discussing some testing that I did this last week, And yes, the Diamond SRH77CA, Sierra Romeo Hotel 77 Charlie Alpha. I'll get that link on the page. If no one else gets it on there, I'll get it on there later on. But they do. It's 144, 440 dual band high gain handheld antenna. And of course, it receives in all bands. Of course, $23 on Amazon. So that I've heard good things about Diamond antennas. Not an endorsement. All right, commercial again. All right, I don't think I'm smashing the foot pedal hard enough or something. Okay, let's go ahead and take the next person with any comments about portable radio antennas, any recommendations, issues you've had, things you found. Come now.
WF4LS.
LS, go ahead.
This is just a thought. I don't have any test to share with anyone, but occasionally I have used a regular mag mount that's designed, of course, for mobile use, not for HT use. But with an appropriate adapter, you can usually screw those into the top of an HT and then set the antenna on top of your car if you happen to be out. And sometimes you'll get a significant improvement in terms of your propagation that way. One caution that I would add, though, is if you're using it or trying to use it indoors, these mag mount antennas are assuming that there is a large sheet metal, as in at the top of a car, sitting underneath them as a ground plane. And if you don't have that, if you just have the antenna, and of course in its magnetic base, then you need to get out a large cookie sheet or something like that to set it on. This is WF4LS.
Yeah, very good, and it's a good reminder that just about any antenna that you can use on any radio anywhere can be hooked up to a $20 bow thing. One of the first challenges I faced was the NewbieNet, because it's way down in Estero, and I'm way up in the north part of North Fort Myers. And what pushed me to buy this tactical antenna, and then after that, I took that tactical antenna and bought a 20-foot cable for it and stuck it up on top with tiger tails coming out of the bottom of it, up on top of a pole I had in my yard. And I was able to go out and put a chair next to the pole and sit there and talk on the NewbieNet. And I slowly graduated to, I built my first Yagi. So I really love the NewbieNet, because the NewbieNet was the first thing to really push me to build an antenna, because I couldn't get there with my portable radio. And even when I bought my 10-watt TYT, it still wasn't quite enough. So that's what kind of got me into antenna building, was trying to get to that repeater down there. You can literally, I can take my two 7-element Yagi array up there and put an adapter on it, hook it right up to a bow thing, and talk up to Punta Gorda with it on 5 watts, no problem. So you can literally hook anything up to it, and the adapters are really cheap. They're all right on Amazon. They come in 24 hours. Okay, next person, anything about portable radios, anything like that, come now. Okay, I probably wasn't clear on that. Anything about portable radio antennas? We're talking about anything to do with antennas, whether it's a radio, a handheld antenna that goes right on the handheld, or one that we connect into the handheld. But antennas that we use with handheld radios. Anything that you found, or anything you want to impart upon us right now, come now. Yeah, Control, KO4, Charlie Hotel November. Jim in Port Charlotte. Good evening, Jim.
Antennas are the same from radio to radio, as what I'm saying is
Are they using a specific manufacturer for their antennas?
Okay, KO4CHN, stand by. You're next. Back to that other station. I'm not sure. I actually did look up information on where Baofeng buys their antennas from, but there's nothing I could really find on that. It's very possible that they literally make their own. From what I've found, the Baofeng factory takes up like 20 city blocks. They make every kind of radio for every country in the world. I mean, it's kind of an empire there, and I'm sure they probably just make their own. So that's kind of my assumption on that. Did you have anything else with that question?
Do you remember what the name of the factory is offhand?
No, I don't. I found some vague information about the factory by researching the Baofeng factory. I don't believe that that's actually the name of the parent company, because there's also, I believe they also make radios under BTEC and TYT, QYT. I'm pretty sure most of that all comes right out of the same big, huge factory. So, but I'm not sure on that. It's hard to get specific information. Most of what you find about Baofeng is other ham radio guys telling you what they think about Baofeng, or what they heard from somebody else that told them. And so it's kind of hard to get exact information about exactly where the factory is or what they make or anything like that. But I would love to know more about it. I really would. All right, let's go to KO4CHN. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Ian. KO4CHN, Jim in Port Charlotte. Looking at the website here, you did a great job there. Put quite a bit of work into doing the antenna reviews. Appreciate it. I see the categories are 2 meter, 2 miles, 2 meter, 3 miles. I'm not quite sure the numbers there at the end, the 56, 51, 55. What do those numbers signify? I'm not quite sure. Back to you.
Well, Chinese radios like mine give you the signal strength 0 to 100%. So it's basically just a number that we can use as a baseline. That should be a 50%. That'd be about 50% signal strength is basically how that comes out. This repeater here coming in is like at 80 something because it's really strong. That's what I had to work with. I would love to have better equipment, and if people out there would love to do testing like this, I'll do the paperwork. I just need people to help me with the testing, and also a pool with additional equipment that can be tested and equipment that we can use to test it with. So if anybody fits in that category, get with me, because I would love to do further tests like this. I'd like to get into mobiles. I'd like to get into all kinds of different stuff, testing. I would love to put all these radios on a bench and test them, both for sparrowless outputs, and also I'd like to test them looking at the wattage output based on what they are advertised as and things like that. So I want to get into all this kind of testing. I have to use what test equipment I have. So basically that's the Chinese gauge 0 to 100.
Okay, fine business. Appreciate it. Thanks, Ian. All right, and that MFJ269, I think that's a very good antenna analyzer. I think that's going to be the next piece of equipment that I buy for the shack, so I'll be looking for that as well. All right, I'll sit back here and ride along, listening to the net. KO4 Charlie Hotel November in Port Charlotte. Back to you.
I appreciate your input. Other station coming in, come now. Okay, I thought I heard someone else trying to come in there right at the beginning of your conversation. So let's go back now and go to anyone, anywhere that would like to discuss anything about HT antenna connections or HT antennas or anything about the research that I did this week on the antennas. Come now. Okay, well, there we go. Hearing none, I'm gonna leave it like this. Next week on the 5th, Charlotte County is doing an Aries drill. Well, the club's doing a test. I'm not sure exactly what level here it is or whatever, but they're doing a big test up there with the Cars Club, and they're going to be testing basically HTs, and I'm going to be being a part of that as well. And so I kind of wanted to do this before that, so I knew where my best antennas were anyway. So that's kind of partially why I did this. But if anyone is interested in getting involved in that, they can use literally as many stations that want to get involved. If you don't live in Punta Gorda or Port Charlotte, you can just drive up there and pull into a park somewhere and check in a couple times with them. They're looking for people with just portable radios to stand outside your car and do it with a stock antenna. And then I'm going to bring a couple of step-up antennas to see what it's going to take to get the message out. But that's going to be fun. That's coming up this coming a week from tomorrow up in Punta Gorda. You can find out more on the Groups I.O. page for the Cars group up there, the Punta Gorda. I'm sorry, what is it? The Charlotte County Amateur Radio Society. God, I screwed that. I'm a member and I screwed it up. Sorry, guys. Anyway, and I also want to mention real quick, the swap shop is tomorrow. Swap shop tomorrow. We're going to get out there at 10:15, 10:30. We usually get out there. And it officially opens at 11. There's new stuff out there. I know there's some new stuff out there. I also know that there's going to be a group coming down from the Cars group in Punta Gorda. They're carpooling down. And so it should be a big group out there. Okay, should be a big group out there, so I just wanted to put that out there. That's the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club's swap shop, and that's in North Fort Myers off Poetry Lane. You got to look it up and get the address because it's back in the neighborhood. And they do have new stuff in the swap shop, and I know there's a group coming down from Punta Gorda, so hopefully there's going to be a nice group out there. All right, let's move along here. I want to go last call for anything on HTs, portable radio antennas, or the testing I did this last week. Come now. Okay, very good. Then maybe the questions have been answered. Let's keep that on the positive side. Okay, the other thing I want to discuss tonight, and there's a button for that as well. I went ahead and just threw some information in there. There's no hard research here. Most of this was just harvested from the internet. This is all the basic information on the 33 centimeter and 23 centimeter bands. I always see these things hanging out down at the end of the band chart, and I'm like, what the hell are those, you know? I know years ago when I worked in public safety, we had switched to the 800 megahertz trunked system, so I was somewhat familiar with the propagation and stuff of the 800 megahertz system, and so I was kind of interested. And someone brought this to me this last week and said, we really should talk about these two bands. So here they are. I would like to know more. We'll start with the 33 centimeter band, which is 900 megahertz. But we'll talk about either one when you call in. Break. These bands are open for anyone with a license out there. You can get on these bands and you can use them from 902 megahertz to 928 megahertz. And when I first saw this, what was this used for? Well, I've got that in here. They used it for cordless phones, and then they used it for walkie-talkies and wireless computers and things like that early on. But right now, it's basically open for us to use. It's considered UHF. So when you talk about 33 centimeters and 23 centimeters, they basically fit in the same category as 70 centimeters. They're UHF, or ultra-high frequency. Some of the things they do on these bands, specifically 33 centimeters or 900 megahertz is amateur television. CW and single sideband can be used up there. FM repeaters can be put on those frequencies. Building repeaters using one of the things that these bands are pretty popular for is connecting tower sites together with two Yeagis so that you can have linked repeaters without using the internet. So there's some neat stuff out there. So I'm going to open it up. Does anybody have any comments, questions about the 33 centimeter or the 23 centimeter band? Come now. Okay, if there's a station out there that's trying to call into the 146.685 repeater, you are not making the trip, and you're basically tripping the repeater out, and then it's resetting over and over and over, and we're not hearing any audio at all because it's just literally barely tripping it. Anyone with anything, anybody wants to discuss anything with this, come now.
KD7 ACB, Dan and Sebring, how do you hear?
Go ahead, Dan, you're loud and clear.
Okay, I checked my power there, and it's cranked up all the way up to 100. But yeah, okay, 900 megahertz, real good. I wanted to get into that. It is interesting to me. I do quite a bit of monitoring, public, like you were saying. You used to work in public safety. 800 systems. I do quite a bit of public safety monitoring, so am familiar with the 800 megahertz band and how it sounds and everything like that. Of course, it all kind of has started to sound the same now as far as P25 and some of the things that they're starting to implement now. P25, of course, gets rid of the mobile flutter and some of those other characteristic sounds that you heard on the 800 public safety band, but there's I see them pop up on eBay from time to time. There's some 900 megahertz radios made by Kenwood. I'll take a break for some time. That are pretty easy to program and get up and running in the amateur portion of the 900 megahertz band. So I'm very tempted to, when I come upon some extra cash, to get one of those. And some of the people that sell them offer them with free programming, etc. They'll put your frequencies in and whatever. And very tempted to get one of those and some type of 900 megahertz beam, and just see what I can hit from up here in Sebring. I know there's not much 900 megahertz activity, if any, down there in the Fort Myers area, but I know there's some, I haven't looked lately, but I think there used to be some kind of up and down the East Coast, and maybe Orlando, I'm not real sure, but tempted to get into that someday when I get all my rainy day projects off the bench, which that never happens, but I have wanted to get my feet wet and jump into that. So if I do end up doing it here in the near future, I'll definitely come back on here in the TechNet and let you know my experiences. So with that, we'll see what everybody else has to say. KD7 ACB, back to net.
All right, very good. I appreciate that. Yeah, and let me know, because we'll come back to this again and we'll update everybody on it. I did a little bit of work when I was looking at all this stuff. I went and checked out, okay, does anybody sell a 900 megahertz radio new to amateur radio operators? Yes, they do, and I don't know if I'd buy one right now. I'm not recommending this to anybody, because you would probably hear bucketfuls of nothing on there. But I'm just putting this out there because I found this very interesting. This is a cool little radio. It's called the DJ Delta Juliet Dash G Golf 29 Tango. And if you scroll down on the PDF, I've even got it on there because it's a dual band radio. Okay, actually, this one's a tri-band radio. There's two different ones. The one that's in your PDF right there does 1200 megahertz, 430 megahertz, and 144 megahertz. So it's basically UHF, VHF, and it's got the 1200 megahertz band in it, which for $250. They also sell another one. It's the same basic model number and everything. It's instead of the G7T, it's the G29T, which does 222 band, or 1.25 meters, and the 902 band, which is 23 or 33 centimeters. So I don't understand it. I'm kind of at a loss as to where they come up with these weird combinations. I'm sure it has to do with the way that they're stepping, doing it with the chip in there. But I just found it interesting that this has it's 222 megahertz and 902 megahertz dual band. So you can actually get on either one of these bands for under $300 with a low power portable. I don't know. There's nobody to talk to, but I'm just putting it out there. I was kind of surprised to see that there's actually equipment on there. Now, as amateur radio people, we got to find some reason to use all this. Okay, so there you go. Anything else on the 23 centimeter or 33 centimeter band?
This is K4HKA, and I have a question, Ian.
K4HKA, go ahead, sir.
Sir, I'm in the wireless internet WISP business, and I use, I think it's 926 to 928 as a link radio. Is the opening of the amateur radio band going to conflict with this band?
Well, it's an interesting thing. We have to yield to any other users that are already on this band. It is legal in some other respects to use this band. You're probably using it, I'm sure, perfectly legally. And we would have to yield to your use on the band. That is the one stipulation on these bands, is that basically we have to do that. We have to be able to yield the use to commercial users who are also licensed. It's a shared use band, and we are not the primary users. That being said, from what I read, there's not a lot of people on it using it commercially either. But anyway, that's what I did hear about that.
The frequencies licensed by, excuse me, the Ubiquity radios are unlicensed, and there's no way to monitor it because it's TDMA. So I just wonder if there's an exception for these. I think it's 926, 928.
Yeah, that's my knowledge. And technically speaking, you would be able to use that equipment under your amateur radio license too. The 926 to 928 sliver is within the bandwidth there. I've got the right at the top of the PDF there, the 33 centimeter band. It goes all the way up to 928. So yeah.
Thank you, sir.
WF4LS.
LS, go ahead.
The 902-928 band, I think, started out as what's called an ISM, Industrial, Scientific, and Medical band. And they've opened it up, of course, to amateur radio use here a number of years ago. In some areas, I know in Atlanta, there was quite a bit of activity up there. Of course, they've got a lot of good mountain repeater sites, so they could put up a repeater or two up there. There wasn't more than one repeater, but there was some activity, and I don't know if there's anything on the east coast of Florida or not, but it would be interesting to try to set something like that up around here. But I don't know of anything right now. I know that I've got a couple of receivers capable of receiving, but haven't heard anything. So anyway, but then I haven't been listening either. So back to net, K4REB.
Down in the garage, I'm like, hey.
All right, yeah, very good. Yeah, I know there's none around here. I've actually been trying to find. I'm looking here now in repeater book to see if there's anything. See if there's any repeaters anywhere in Florida. Let's see here. I'm searching for 33, and here, let me pull this over here so people can see what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm pulling that in there, and there is showing some repeaters. I show one in Tallahassee on 1291.5 KS4JW with an 88.5 PL tone. There's one in Jacksonville, and let's see, break. And I got one in Kissimmee, 927.7. 12.91 in St. Petersburg, 12.91 in Tampa, and then there's a cluster of them around Miami and one in West Palm. 12.91.7 or 12.91.7 in West Palm. So there is a few repeaters around. There's just none around here. Okay, anyone else with anything on the 23 centimeter or 33 centimeter bandwidth? All right, very good. Well, you know, one of the things I do want to do here every week is to bring a hard topic, and then I'm going to try to bring some other awareness type topic, and I think this one was a good one for tonight because I really knew nothing about this, and by researching for the show, or for the net, God, I did it again, I now know a lot more about it, so I'm hoping that I pass some of that on to you guys. It's another band out there that probably nobody's on, but, you know, I don't know. We need to recruit more people in amateur radio. That's what I keep saying. I got into this 5 months ago, and I think it's the weakest link we've got, folks. We've got to get more people into amateur radio because these bands are getting pretty quiet. As the ones of us that we have out here spread out into more and more modes and more digital modes and more frequencies and more bandwidths, it's going to be more and more difficult. It'll become more and more difficult to find people to talk to. And so there's only two ways to fix this. We all have to agree to talk on less channels, which isn't going to happen, or we need to recruit some more folks to talk to, and I think that's the one we need to work on. All right, I'm going to now open this up to anyone, anywhere, with any comments, questions, or any topic you would like to bring up for discussion tonight on the Southwest Florida TechNet, sponsored by the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club. I am Kilo Oscar 4 Echo Foxtrot Sierra, Ian, and I am in North Fort Myers, and we are live on the internet as well on YouTube. All right, and we are also live on the 146685 repeater. I'd like to thank the 15 viewers that are also watching online. Okay, let's see one anywhere with any questions or comments about anything tech related. Come now.
Ian, did you try hooking a regular SWR meter to your antennas to see how it performed through that?
Yeah, if you mean actually broadcast through an SWR meter, no, I did not. I only have a very old one that I bought at the swap shop that I found in the bottom of a box, and I don't even think it works right. And then I have my one that I use with HF, the Deluxe Versa tuner. That's really all I have right there as far as that goes. So if someone has a nice piece of equipment, I would love to sit down one day and do a test and shoot all this, but I don't have anything to do that with. It would be a great way to test Steve's theory on the radio and antenna being matched. Because I think there's something to that. And I think that would be a great way to test that, would be to test the antennas actually on their native radio and then test it on another radio, a completely different radio, and see how the performance is different. All right, yeah, I think that's a great idea. So if you want to do that with me, if anybody out there would like to do any kind of radio or antenna building or testing, get with me, dude. I'll meet you somewhere. We'll do this. It's good. All right. Anybody else, questions or comments? Come now. All right. I can't wait till this COVID's over because I'm gonna start some weekend stuff. I want to do an antenna day. I'm looking for the right stock pieces right now. I've already got my first project set up for that I want to do. I want to have a get-together one day, and I'll tell you what the parts cost. I'm trying to get the parts list under $20. Basically, you bring a piece of wire with a plug on the end, and that's all you have to bring, and then like $20, and then I hand you all the stuff, and we'll sit there and we'll build your Yagi right there. I want to do that because I've got this design for this Yagi that I'm working on, and I've got it all drawn out, and it's going to be great. It's going to be a 7-element, 2-meter Yagi. It's going to have screw-on caps on both ends. And when you're done with it, you just take the rods out and shove them all down inside, and you take the 2 driven elements and you take the 2 screws out and you shove those down inside, and you take the piece of wire and you run that down inside, and you throw the screws in a little bag and you put that down inside and you put the cap on. And now you have a piece of pipe that you can literally throw on top of your car and strap it down, and you can drive anywhere you want, and you can set this thing up in about 10 minutes. You can have you a 7-element beam Yagi. And then you take another piece of pipe the same length, and there's your mast, and you have a tripod or some easy way to put it up, hook it to the bumper hitch on your car. I want to build these to go with these WinLink things we got. This would be a great way to reach out a lot further. So something I'm working on, and I want to do like a build day or something with that. So anyway, that's something I've got a thought on. Let's open it back up. Anyone, anywhere with your thoughts on anything tech-related, come now.
K87ACB, Dan and Sebring.
I had to wait for the car ad. Okay, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, sir, I know I keep jumping in there, but just the things that I'm interested in, things like that. But yeah, on the build day, however you're going to disseminate information on that, when it's safe to do so, and when the date and stuff. I am up here in Sebring most of the time, but my parents live down there in Fort Myers. And so I do get down to the Fort Myers area on a regular basis, and I'd be very interested in some antenna building projects and those type of projects to build some antennas and then bring them up to Sebring and try them and see if I can get, reach back down there to Fort Myers. The setup I'm using here is Kenwood TS2000 with a diamond vertical antenna up about 16 feet. I forget the model number of the antenna, but it's about 17 feet long. It's a dual band vertical for 2 meters to 440, and putting 100 watts into that on 2 meters. So that's how I'm getting from Sebring down there in Fort Myers. But yeah, when you get more information on those build days, that's something I'd be very interested in. KD7ACB.
And we'd love to do it. The way these are built, the mast actually goes up and connects to a T in the middle of it. It's a balanced. The antenna is actually balanced, so you can just about put it anywhere. And you could probably, with one of these, you could make that trip at the same height. You could make that trip with a lot less wattage, and it'd be crystal clear. There's a lot of antennas and a lot of people with ideas out there, but the Yaegi's the best antenna ever, so there you go. All right, next person, anyone, anywhere, tech stuff, come now.
N1MMQ.
N1MMQ, go ahead.
Found something you might be interested in on Amazon. It's a watt meter that's small enough. It's a digital watt meter that's small enough to fit on a portable and test your antenna directly.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at that. It's like a $103 one there. It says UHF, VHF, SWR, and watt meter. Yeah, I'll have to research it. I see there's a few under $100 options here. Oh, wait a minute. There's a $38 option for a portable handheld power meter. Interesting.
Write this down. MCBAZEL Surecom SW102. It's $52.90.
Okay, yeah, I see that one too. Okay, good, very good. Alrighty, so not that expensive to get something for the smaller radios anyway. I definitely would like to do that. I'd like to find out exactly what my wattage is on all my portable radios. So, alright, very good. I'm glad you brought that to my attention. I appreciate that. Alright, next person, anyone, anywhere, anything about technology?
KO4, Charlie Hotel, November, Port Charlotte.
KO4 CHN, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, just to backtrack a bit, and I won't take up much time, Ian. It's interesting that Alinco puts out that handheld for 1,200 megs. And also, I was looking around Amazon the other day, and I noticed that Motorola has a handheld available for 900 meg band. It looks like it might have been repurposed from a commercial use, maybe a warehouse or airlines or something along those lines, but it's been reprogrammed and it has the amateur frequencies in it. So there are two handhelds out there, one for 900 and the other one for the 1200 megs. And looking at the band plans that you assembled there on the website, there are some analog, frequencies on those bands, but I would imagine that most of the activity up there on 900 and 1200 is probably digital, and a lot of experimentation, a lot of beacons, weak signal, and might hear some CW. So, anyways, it'll be interesting. It'll be fun to kind of explore those bands. And the nice thing about that is that the antennas are so manageable for 900 megs and 1200 megs. You don't need much antenna to get up there. All right, back to you, and thanks for the research and doing the net. KO4, Charlie Hotel, November, Port Charlotte.
That's what I love about 70 centimeters versus 2 meter. I love 2 meter. That's my band. I've been a VHF boy my whole life. That's what we used at the fire station all them years. And I love VHF, but when it comes to building antennas, I like building the 70 centimeter for 2 reasons. One, if you can build a 70 centimeter antenna that the SWR meter likes, you're doing really good because they're a little more difficult to build. And number 2, with the 70 centimeters, they're a lot smaller, and you can build huge, as many elements as you want, and it's not huge. My 7-element dual 7-element Yeagis that I have up on my mast are 7 feet long, and they're 4 foot something feet wide. No, they're it's 2 meters wide. They're 2 meters wide. Don't make me convert it. And so it's a huge array up there. When I build the same thing for 70 centimeters, it's literally like a fourth of the size. And then, like you said, with these, you could build a 12 or 15 element Yagi, and it's not even going to be 2 feet long. So I mean, you could really kick some butt with this. I think one day I probably will get into this, but it's nothing I'm going to be able to do right away because I got too much other stuff that more people are hanging out on. All right, anything else about technology? Anyone, anywhere? Come now.
And WG4K, I'll give you a quick rule on meters. A meter is 39 1/3 inches long, so 2 meters would be twice that.
Yeah, I always figure it in my head is about 3 feet, but it's not perfect. It's always off a little bit, but luckily I use the Amateur Radio Toolkit. If you guys don't have that app, it's a great app. It's called Amateur Radio Toolkit, and it's a free app, and I use that because you can select whether you want it in inches, feet, meters, centimeters, whatever you want it in. So that I do that because I don't use the metric system. I'm sorry, I can't. It's like another language. I'm no good with other languages. So anyone, anywhere, come now. Okay, well, I'll just do a couple of real quick announcements before we get close to the end here. Swap Shop tomorrow. We'll be getting out there about 10:15. We got a bunch of folks coming down from Charlotte County. A bunch of folks coming from Lee County. Should be good. Should be a good swap shop. I'm hoping there'll be some tailgaters out there. We've had a few tailgaters in the upcoming weeks, or the weeks leading up to now. So hopefully there'll be some additional people coming in, and it'll be a little bigger than we've had, even because we've got some other folks coming. So that's tomorrow at the swap shop. Come on out, guys. It's outdoors. We wear our masks if we go inside. We stay 6 feet apart. You can wear your mask the whole time. It's perfectly fine. We do it safely, but it's a great time to get together. And I cherish the swap shop right now because it's the only chance I get to actually meet amateur radio operators in person. I haven't. There's no other real opportunity out there right now. So try to make it out tomorrow. It would be great. And then next week on Saturday on the 5th is the Charlotte County Cars drill that they're doing with portable radios. So you can bring your stuff and test it out there. I guess that's about it. Let's go one more last call for anyone, anywhere about technology or any announcements you would like to make for anything coming up in the amateur radio field. Come now.
Thank you, Ian. You've done a great job.
All right, well, I appreciate that. Sometimes I think I talk too much. I hear myself talking the whole time. I really appreciate you guys all coming in tonight, and I appreciate everybody with the input, and I hope that the information has been helpful to you, and I'm always looking for topics for next week, looking for anybody that would like to test a piece of equipment or do a study or a test or research of any kind. Remember, the heart of this field is scientific research. Don't be an appliance user, man. Let's take that antenna off and hook something else on there that works better. Let's find a better way. Let's build something ourselves. Homebrew. I never imagined the day I took my test that I would build my own antennas. I never thought that would happen. and it's now my favorite thing about amateur radio. So I just want to encourage everybody out there. You can do it, even if you live in an apartment with no garage, you don't have a drill. None of that matters, okay? You can get a drill for $20. There's just no reason why you can't build this stuff. It's so easy. You can build it right there on your table, and it works. You can build you a big, huge Yagi to put in your spare bedroom and point it right through a brick wall and get to the tower. So there's just some really neat stuff. So I just want to encourage everybody out there to just stick with it and go with it. And one last thing, the bands are wide open right now, folks. Wide open. Into the great wide open, as Tom Petty used to say. I have not seen it like this since I brought my HF radio, and I'm excited. The band sucked over the weekend when we were doing the contest, and now ever since the contest closed, the bands are going crazy. Break. Anyway, I'm hearing lots of people even on 20 meters and stuff like that. So if you've got an HF rig and you haven't turned it on for a while, dust it out, spin the knob. Good stuff on there. All right, guys, that's about it for tonight. I'm going to open it up one last time. Anyone, anywhere, comments or questions?
For REB, sunspots are coming back, so that's why the bands are open.
And thank goodness for that. I know someone told me a while back you picked a good time to get into amateur radio because it's all going to be getting better every year for the next 6 or 7 years. And it looks like it did this in a hurry here a little bit in the last few days. So that's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm kind of glad I didn't. If I'd have got my license 5 or 6 years ago, I might have got disappointed because it would have gotten worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Now I actually get to witness it on the upswing. So that's pretty cool. Anybody else anywhere? Come now. All right, guys, it's been my pleasure tonight to be your net control operator here on the Southwest Florida TechNet, sponsored by the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club on the 146685 repeater system and simulcast live online on YouTube. And we'd like to welcome you guys back again next week. Again, Swap Shop tomorrow and the cars next Saturday. And, of course, join us every day except Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning for the NTS, the National Traffic System, where our club passes traffic in and out from all over the world. And you can become a part of that as well. And that's about it. If you guys, one other quick thing. If you're up in the morning before our net comes on at 10 o'clock here for the NTS, the Sunshine net comes on at 8:30. This is one of my favorite nets. It's great. I've got the info right on my QRZ page if you don't already have it. It's on the car's repeater. They got a UHF and a VHF and an Echo Link all tied together up there. And the Sunshine net is a great net in the morning to just get on there and check in and hear what everybody's doing. So I just wanted to put that out there. We're sponsored by the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club, but we certainly also support the other clubs that are in our area. And the Cars Club up there is a great group that I'm also a part of, and they do a great net in the morning that's on before ours. So there you go. Okay, guys, everybody, KO4EFS, I'm going to be closing this net break. All right, thank you, everybody, for participating tonight in the Southwest Florida TechNet, and have a great night. This net is now closed, and the 146685 repeater system is now going to be returned to normal amateur operation. I am KO4EFS, Ian in North Fort Myers, and I'm going to be clearing the channel now. You guys have a great night out there, 7-3s.